Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I have a very special story for you. It's an original suspense story called The House at the End of Maple Street. This story is written in simple English, so you can practice listening and improve your vocabulary. While you listen, try to focus on new words and expressions. Let's begin the story. Nobody knew exactly when the house appeared at the end of Maple Street. Some claimed it had always been there, hidden behind the tangled hedges and the tall iron gates that creaked in the wind. Others said it had been built overnight, as if the earth had coughed it up, tired of holding its secrets underground. It was an old house, dark bricked, with narrow windows like half-closed eyes. Children dared each other to touch the gate or run up to the porch, but none ever crossed the threshold. People whispered that it was cursed. That it belonged to no one. That whoever entered would not return. But Henry Lawson didn't believe in curses. He was a surveyor for the city, with more than 20 years of experience. Maps were his life. He trusted paper over rumor, measurements over legends, so when his department received a complaint about property lines on Maple Street, he volunteered to handle it. It was just another job. He arrived on a gray morning in October, when the sky looked like torn cotton. As he parked his truck in front of the gate, he studied the house. Up close, it looked even older than he expected. The bricks were worn and mottled with lichen. Vines as thick as his arm clung to the walls. A broken shutter banged softly against the upper floor. Henry opened the iron gate and stepped onto the path. The grass grew waist-high on either side. He had to push it aside with his measuring rod. As he climbed the porch steps, he thought he heard the boards sigh under his boots, as though the house were exhaling after a long time alone. He knocked, more out of habit than hope. Nobody answered. The door was unlocked. With a frown, he stepped inside. It was dim in the entryway. The air smelled of dust and something faintly metallic. He switched on his flashlight and swept the beam over the walls. Old wallpaper peeled in ragged strips. A cracked mirror reflected the light like a blind eye. "City survey," he called. "Is anyone here?" Silence. He shrugged and moved forward. He would take a few photographs, record the property dimensions, and be done with it. He set his camera on the hallway table, adjusted the tripod legs, and turned around to measure the entryway. That was when he noticed something strange. The door he had entered through was gone. He blinked, thinking it was a trick of the shadows. But when he walked back, there was only a blank wall where the door had been. He touched it. Cold plaster met his fingers. His pulse began to climb. He was not a superstitious man, but something about the emptiness behind him made his skin prickle. He turned back toward the hallway, intending to leave through another exit, but found that the hallway itself had changed. It was longer now. Narrower. The walls seemed to be pulsing, as if breathing. A low sound echoed through the corridor, almost a whisper, though he couldn't catch the words. He swallowed, tasting fear for the first time in years. He tried the next door he came to. It opened into a small parlor with faded furniture draped in sheets. The air smelled heavier here, almost sweet, like rotting flowers. As he stepped inside, the door swung shut behind him. He tried to open it again, but the handle refused to turn. Henry drew a shaky breath. He took out his phone to call for help, but there was no signal. He switched on his flashlight again, scanning the room. Something on the mantel caught his eye, a row of framed photographs. He approached them slowly. The first photo showed a man and woman standing together in front of the house. Their clothes were old-fashioned, perhaps from the 1920s. The next photo was nearly identical, same couple, same pose, but the woman's face was blurred, as though she had turned her head at the last second. In the third photograph, the woman was gone entirely. Only the man remained, smiling stiffly at the camera. A chill slid down Henry's spine. He glanced over his shoulder. The parlor was still empty, but he felt watched. He picked up the last frame. In this picture, the man was alone, but something moved in the shadows behind him, just a faint shape, half hidden by the curtain. A shape that looked too tall, too thin. He set the photo down carefully and backed away. He had to get out of this house. He crossed the parlor and tried another door. It opened into a dining room, where a long table was set for dinner. Plates and silverware were arranged neatly, though everything was covered in a thick layer of dust. At the head of the table sat a single candle in a brass holder. As he watched, the candle sputtered to life. A tiny flame burned with an eerie green glow. Henry's mouth went dry. He did not want to move closer, but he felt compelled. He approached the table slowly, every footstep muffled by the dusty carpet. When he reached the candle, he saw that a piece of paper had been placed under it. He lifted the candle carefully and picked up the note. A single sentence was scrawled in faded ink, "The house remembers." He felt the walls tighten around him, like a throat closing. He dropped the note and turned to flee, but the door had vanished again. In its place was another blank wall. His flashlight flickered. In that moment of darkness, he thought he heard something breathing behind him, slow, heavy breaths. When the light returned, the table was empty. The dishes, the candle, the note, gone. Panic began to claw at his chest. He stumbled back into the parlor, then into the hall, but every doorway led to another unfamiliar room. A library with thousands of books that dissolved to ash when he touched them. A nursery where a rocking horse moved back and forth on its own. A bathroom where the mirror reflected not his face but a dark silhouette standing inches behind him. Hours passed, or minutes, it was impossible to tell. Time was a broken thing here. He grew thirsty, then hungry, then numb. The house seemed to shift when he closed his eyes, reordering itself like a living labyrinth. At last, he found a staircase. It spiraled up into darkness. With no other choice, he began to climb. His legs felt heavy, as if gravity itself were fighting him. Halfway up, he heard a voice. "Henry." He froze. The voice was familiar, soft, feminine. A voice he hadn't heard in years. "Lillian," he whispered. His wife had died 10 years ago. He had never believed in ghosts, but now he felt her presence as clearly as the wooden steps under his feet. "Come to me," the voice said. He climbed the last steps and emerged into an attic. Moonlight poured through a broken window. In the center of the room was a single chair, and in that chair sat Lillian. She was as he remembered, her dark hair, her kind eyes, but her skin was pale as paper, and her smile was wrong. Too wide. "Lillian," he breathed, stepping closer. She tilted her head. "You left me," she whispered. "You forgot." He felt tears burn his eyes. "I never forgot." Her smile faded. "The house remembers," she said again. "And now you will, too." The attic door slammed shut behind him. He lunged for it, but when he turned, the chair was empty. The moonlight flickered and went out. In the darkness, something moved, something tall and thin. He backed away, heart hammering. A cold hand brushed his neck. He screamed. When he opened his eyes, he was standing outside in the morning sun. His truck waited at the curb, engine idling. The house loomed behind him, quiet and still. He stumbled to the truck, climbed inside, and drove away without looking back. He filed his report 2 weeks later. He didn't mention the photographs. Or the attic. Or the voice. He wrote that the house was abandoned and structurally unsound. He recommended it be demolished, but some nights, when he closed his eyes, he still felt the cold hand on his neck. Still heard her whisper. "The house remembers." And deep down, Henry knew that someday, it would call him back.